NASCAR Coast to Coast coming at you on this Thursday, August the 21st. A big show for you as we talk to 15-year-old sensation Tristan McKee joins us live in studio to talk about his ARCA Series debut and victory at Watkins Glen, plus all the racing he's doing outside of the ARCA Series. You name it, he's driving it as he continues to elevate his game and his young career, partnering with Spire Motorsports. We'll have that conversation for you coming up next, plus a full slate of racing on your calendar, some news and notes, including in the Smart Modified Tour with a little schedule change, plus some crown jewel events coming up this weekend, including the Oxford 250. We'll break it all down here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, and it starts right now. Welcome into NASCAR Coast to Coast here on this August the 21st, 2025, and we're excited to have our special guest join us in studio this week. He is a first-time ARCA Series winner at the ripe old age of 15. We're talking about Tristan McKee, who joins me in studio. Tristan, welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast, and I know it's been hectic probably since that win at Watkins Glen, but let's go back to that weekend and just how special that moment was. Has it sunk in yet, what you accomplished there a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely had some time to, let it sink in and kind of take it all in but been busy since then doing all kinds of different things, running the cars tour and just testing different cars. So, definitely been busy since then.
What was the key to that weekend? Obviously, learning the ARCA car is one thing. You've done probably tons of sim work and things like that. But when you actually get behind the wheel of the race car, kind of give me your process from practice and qualifying and then, of course, into the race.
Yeah, it was all learning, that's what we're here to do because there's a lot of, road courses and stuff like that in the higher ranks when I'll be moving up. So, it was definitely just a learning weekend, just getting used to the car and the track because I ran the TA2 race there a couple weeks before at Watkins Glen, but obviously different car and we ran the boot version of the track. So it was just a little bit different. So it took me a little bit to get used to the car on the track. So, it was just learning and got behind some better cars in the race, which helped a lot as well.
What was the biggest difference you noticed, maybe initially, from the TA2 to the ARCA car?
Well, the ARCA car is, I mean, it's just a lot heavier. It's just different. The way you have to drive it is different. Some of the parts are different. So, you kind of have to hustle a little bit more, I would feel like. Maybe not quite as much grip and just different aspects. The brakes aren't quite as good. So, just a little more finesse in some areas.
At what point of the weekend were you like, all right, I think we can win this race? Was it during the race or was it even before?
Well, in practice, I thought we had a really good car in the first little bit, and I kind of got into the wall at the last corner, so that kind of paused some of our practice, and we didn't get to do a mock run on stickers at the end of the practice, so that definitely hurt our qualifying, and we ended up qualifying fourth, and we kind of got up to second and third for most of the race, battling with the 23, and obviously Brent had issues, and at that point, I knew that I think we had been better than the 23 all day, so it was just a matter of bringing it back to the checkered.
All right, and of course now you're decked out in all the Gamebridge stuff. You got the Spire shirt on, partnering with Spire this year. How did that deal come together in terms of just, hey, let's go racing, let's put you on our development program. Jeff Dickerson and everybody kind of putting their faith in you. So kind of walk me through when those conversations started.
Yeah, so I went into the Josh Wise program at the beginning of last year through, Lauren Rainier and Josh Wise and Scott and all those guys over there. They're all great. So I started in that last year and we moved down to North Carolina just for me to go into there. And, I did that for a couple months and then that kind of led me into the Spire doors and, we got to meet everyone there. Josh Wise helped, gain some relationships there as far as Jeff Dickerson and Bill Anthony and some other guys there and just everyone else there. So I feel like we made a really great relationship with everyone there. And, that kind of led me into, even the late model stuff. They're helping with that and all the ARCA stuff and the Trans Am stuff. So it's really made all this, possible this year.
How was the move to North Carolina been? Do you like it down here?
Yeah, we weren't far, so in Virginia, but
Yeah.
it's definitely nice being so close to everything and being close to a lot of tracks.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when you signed with Spire and this deal starts coming together, what's the initial plan, and has that changed since the win back at Watkins Glen?
Not really. We had some ARCA races lined up for, starting this weekend towards Bristol with Pinnacle, and then once we signed with Spire, that kind of led into more of their car with the two races at Phoenix and Watkins Glen, and but pretty much other than that, we've kind of been sticking to our plan with the late model stock stuff and the pro late stuff, and as well as the Trans Am stuff. So we're kind of sticking to the plan and racing as much as possible. I'm obviously very very busy.
So let's backtrack. 15 years of age. Birthday coming up. I think actually you're going to turn 16 later in August, or
Well,
you just had one.
yeah.
Oh, you had one right. That's right. You had one right before Watkins Glen. Jeez. Can't believe what I was doing at 14 and it was not driving race cars. But anyway, so you're 15 years of age, but let's go back to racing in Virginia. Where did you get your start? How did you get your start? Have you been in a racing family or are you kind of the lone ranger in this deal?
Yeah, so my dad raced kind of dirt bikes and motorcycles, stuff like that on like jumping and stuff like that. So I did like one or two dirt bike races and my grandpa was kind of like we should get him something in four wheels like a go-kart maybe. It's just a lot safer. My dad broke a lot of bones. Just it's just very dangerous. So
Yeah.
I got into a dirt go-kart and I did that for a couple years. Raced with a lot of great teams and won a lot of races and I kind of moved up into Bandoleros after that and obviously raced at Summer Shootout and Thursday Thunder in Atlanta, and just a lot of different tracks around the East Coast and all the nationals down in Citrus and Auburndale. So did a lot of that. Moved into legend cars very slightly because at the time the age of legend cars was older than what it was for me to go around late model at a non-sanctioned NASCAR track.
Oh, wow.
So I started pretty much right into late models after that and started testing and did a little bit of legend car stuff after turned old enough and I kind of started late models at Shenandoah Speedway up in Virginia, and that was one of the only places I could race because it wasn't NASCAR sanctioned. And then we did a little bit of stuff at Carteret County, and as far as like the Christmas races there and stuff like that, because that also wasn't NASCAR sanctioned. So we kind of went to all the tracks that we couldn't that I could race at that weren't NASCAR sanctioned, and just anywhere we could go, we were racing and just getting seat time. And then obviously, been in the late models ever since, doing the car store stuff and getting into the Trans Am stuff and the ARCA stuff and even some super late model stuff. So it's been super busy.
Super busy and happening super fast. So as you were kind of rising through the ranks, doing some of the late model stuff back in Virginia, of course you had to do it at a young. You were probably the youngest one out on the racetrack. What did you have to learn quickly racing against probably guys that are maybe twice your age?
Yeah, it was definitely just getting seat time and learning how to race around cars. I feel like my racecraft is really good and in all aspects of like the stuff that I'm doing as far as ARCA and late model stock and Trans Am. I feel like I just have quite a bit of seat time in the late models racing around really good cars, which that's one thing Car Store breeds really well is just a lot of door-to-door action and just a lot of racecraft. Even though sometimes it's not the best and there's a lot of beating and banging, it's still really good learning for any situation that you'll be in the higher ranks. So I definitely feel like it's been all about seat time and getting a lot of that.
When you were kind of growing up racing, and then of course before you moved down here, what did your friends think? I mean, you're 13, 14 years old and they're all probably playing stick and ball sports or hanging out playing video games, and here you are racing. So did they kind of follow you along? Did they go to your races, or kind of what were your friends thinking?
Yeah, some of my friends did. Obviously, a lot of them were from the racetrack, but
Yeah.
some of them from like school and stuff, they didn't really know, it's just not a common thing that everyone knows about. So, kind of told a couple of them and sometimes they followed along and, just supported really. That's all it's all about, all my family and everyone, all my friends, even my friends at the track, some of them might be racing against them, but they all support me and the other stuff that I do. So it's really cool.
Yeah, really good to have that support system for sure, is especially in your young part of your career. All right, so you moved down here. You mentioned the Cars Tour, really good success. Obviously, there was some heartbreak in there right before Watkins Glen with the throwback race. But how has your season gone? I know you got a slew of top 10 finishes. You got that win in the pro late model earlier this year. How would you assess the late model side of things?
It's been going really good. I feel like we've had a really, really good car, building with Matt Piercy and all the crew, just kind of, learning together. And this is my first full-time year in the late model stock series. I've been doing the pro stuff for a couple of years. So the late model stock is originally what I did start racing. And then I kind of went towards more the pro stuff and did that for a couple of years. And now I'm back to the late model stuff. But it's been a lot of fun racing. It's super, super competitive. So it's super, super tough. We've been just learning and working really, really hard trying to get our cars really good. So the fields are so close, you have to be on it.
I was about to say how much, I mean, it's pretty much you got to be perfect in those races, but I mean, it teaches you how to save tires and things like that. How close is the field nowadays? It feels like one little bobble and you're suddenly going from the lead to fifth or sixth.
Yeah, like anything, like you mess up in qualifying just this much, just a little bit. I mean, you're back to 10th, 12th place. It's just so close. Like Anderson, we raced this past weekend. I thought we had the best car, and something maybe happened with the issues with the tires, and there's some things like that going around. And we were top three car all day. We qualified like 16th. So
Yeah.
it's just so close. It's within, 10th at two, just the top 15, 10, 15 cars. So it's so close. You have to be on your game.
I don't want to revisit it too much, but the throwback race, dominant there, 10 to go. You get swept up in the wreck. What was going through your mind, and how much did that fuel the next week when you showed up at Watkins Glen in the ARCA car?
Yeah, Lauren Rainier actually told me after the ARC race. He said, "Yeah, last week at Hickory, you should have won that race, and we didn't. And then this week we maybe weren't the best car, and we ended up winning. So it got all kinds of plays out. But that was definitely a heartbreaker after leading 115 or whatever it was laps, and definitely being the best car. Got the pole and just controlling the whole race, and got in that wreck with 10 to go. So that was definitely a tough one for 50 grand. But I knew we had the best car, so that's all that really matters. My guys worked really hard in the heat and brought a really, really fast car.
It's a fun racetrack too, as well. Okay, amongst all this other racing you're doing, you're also, in the title hunt for the TA2 championship in Trans Am. A couple of wins this season, including the one you mentioned at Watkins Glen. How different are you having to kind of retrain your mind when you go hop in one of those, turning right and left, and then got to go hop in a late model stock the next week?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different. Just the way you drive it, you're obviously turning right instead of left, so left and right, but just the techniques you use as far as braking and just everything, it's completely different. Like it's 180 degrees different from the late model stock and pro late, just all the oval track stuff. So definitely been a new discipline for me this year and having to learn how to drive those cars to what they're capable of. And definitely learned a lot, and I feel like I've been able to apply a little bit of it to, the late model stuff, but it's just been a really big learning curve, and I feel like I'm starting to get a hang of it in the past few races, and I'm starting to learn a lot more than I was a little bit at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and it's starting to show, but you're also having to learn new racetracks. We're going to Canada next weekend for the Trans Am series. So what's the prep like learning Canadian Tire Motorsports Park?
Yeah, I've definitely been doing a lot of prep work, obviously on the sim, so iRacing and stuff like that, just getting to learn the track. There's obviously a lot of elevation changes, and it's fast, like you said earlier. It's just I'm looking forward to it. I never ran laps on that track in real life, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Before we let you go, on the ARCA side of things that concerns to this show, you've got a couple more races coming up. I know you mentioned this weekend at Madison. Looks like Bristol and Toledo are the next ones in the partnership with Pinnacle Racing Group. So, one, how exciting are you to get back into it? And two, what are kind of the expectations with those three racetracks coming up?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited getting back to, some oval stuff that is near and dear to my heart. That's what I've always done. So the road course thing is kind of new to me this year and just getting to learn that. So I'm definitely excited to get to a short track where that's what I've been doing for the past, 5 years. So I'm really excited to get to Madison, Bristol, and Toledo. And then we even have Phoenix at the end of the year in the Spire car. So I'm definitely looking forward to all those and working with all the PRG guys, Shane and all those guys. It's really, really great. So I'm looking forward to it.
You're batting 1,000, so is it like I gotta win now? I've already tasted the top of the mountain in ARCA. I gotta keep going.
The ARCA car and the short track, so it's going to be a learning curve, just like the Watkins Glen race was. So I'm definitely going to have to learn the car on that track. I've never been to Madison. Looks like a fun track from the videos I've seen. So it's just going to be all about learning, like I said.
Finally, where do you see yourself 2, 3 years, 4 years from now? I mean, what's the trajectory look like for you, or where would you like to be in a couple years?
Yeah, definitely just, climbing the ranks as fast as I can. You obviously can't run trucks till you're 16 and then up and up from there. So hopefully when I turn old enough to run the next series and the next one up, I can hopefully move up as quickly as possible. And hopefully I'll have learned a lot from the ARCA stuff and other stuff that I'm doing to be able to apply that to the higher ranks. So hopefully I'll just, keep moving up the ranks, and obviously the end goal is to be in the Cup Series, but I still got a lot of learning to do before then.
You got plenty of time, my friend, but you're doing the right things at the right time. Best of luck to you, and thanks for coming into Coast to Coast this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tristan McKee, again, big-time racer here, big-time ARCA win at Watkins Glen, leading the TA2 championship, and a whole lot more of racing coming up for that young man. So we appreciate him for joining us. We're coming up on the break, but when we come back, we've got the schedule and some news and notes around the world of short track racing. That's all coming up next here on NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.
3, 2, 1. Start your engine!
The NASCAR channel is streaming now, exclusively on Tubi.
Tell them we got it!
Go deeper into NASCAR with 24/7 news, documentaries, and explore the vault of timeless NASCAR stories and unforgettable races. From crushing defeats to the thrill of victory.
Go, baby!
The NASCAR Channel. Always on, always free. Only on Tubi.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Appreciate Tristan McKee for joining us here this week on the show, and best of luck as he tackles the ARCA Menard Series for the second time, coming up at Madison, Wisconsin this weekend at the half mile in Madison. So it's going to be exciting for them. We'll get to that race preview in just a little bit. Let's take a quick look back. MRN was on the air. First of three broadcasts over the weekend at Richmond Raceway on Thursday night. A little ground pounders under the lights at Richmond with the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Good to see them back for the Virginia Racing Lovers 150. But it was Craig Lutz backing up his big win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Coincidentally, on a NASCAR weekend, he does it again, this time at Richmond Raceway, beating some of the best in the business, like Austin Beers, like Ryan Preece. And this was a interesting race because it all came down to strategy on when you came down to pit, because it trapped several drivers a lap down. We had an untimely caution during a green flag pit cycle, and suddenly we had 7 cars on the lead lap. Came down to a restart there towards the end of the race. Ryan Newman got jacked up. He was in that Mystic Missile car that went from starting 8th all the way to the point, and unfortunately got turned around on a restart by Corey LaJoie, ended his day. But it was down to Craig Lutz, drove away from the field at the end and got his second win of the season. Austin Beers had a solid night. He continues to have a point lead in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour by just 10, though, as they wrapped up things at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and they go out to Oswego coming up this 2 weeks from now on August 30th. Justin Bonsignor there still in contention, second in the title chase. Of course, Patrick Emmerling was still there as well. He kind of went from a spin and almost win, finished in the top 5, but spun early on in the race. So those 3 drivers still vying for the title as, again, they go to Oswego Speedway coming up Saturday, August the 30th. The ARCA Menard Series, we just heard from Tristan McKee after his win at Watkins Glen. Well, they were in action on the dirt for the first of 2 dirt events in 2025 at the Springfield Mile, the Springfield Fairgrounds, the ARCA 100. And we talked about it last week. I think it's hard to not go it's hard to go against Brent Cruz, that is. And if you picked Brent Cruz, you were in the winner's circle, because Brent Cruz for Nitro Motorsports got the win on the dirt, his 6th, or he started 6th and he cruised to the win. Of course, there were a lot of dirt experts in this one, but Brent Cruz, with his prowess on the dirt, of course, having run micros and winning track championships at Millbridge. Of course, he was a Power I champion as well, a couple races. So Brent Cruz got it done again for his win at the Springfield Mile. 10 victories for Nitro Motorsports in his career with TA2, and he adds another one this time with the ARCA Menard Series. So LeVar Scott had a good run. Came home second. Of course, he's still in the thick of things for the ARCA Championship. Kelly Kovsky, Brendan Butterbean Queen, and Sean Core rounded out the top 5, and Brendan Butterbean Queen with that top 5 finish, 34-point advantage in the championship over LeVar Scott, who moved up to second in the title chase after being in the 3rd spot coming into the weekend. So still a lot of racing to go as they head to the short track at Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin coming up on Friday for the Badger 200. So congratulations to Brent Cruz and Nitro Motorsports. Boy, Nick Tucker, he's got that program rolling here in 2025. The Cars Tour at Anderson Speedway in South Carolina. It was all Luke Baldwin in the Pro Late Model Series, grabbed his 3rd win of the season, and the number 51 for Rick Ware Racing. A good rebound for Luke after a dismal day at Richmond in the modified. Landon Lewis got on the back on the horse as well, as Landon Lewis took KHI in the number 29 back to victory lane in the late model stock category. He has had kind of an up and down kind of summer stretch, of course, was involved in that wreck with Tristan McKee in that throwback race at Hickory Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago. But Landon Lewis gets the win. Dale Jr. was in the Budweiser baseball car, a throwback to 2001. He finished 10th after a spin midway point through the race. But when it comes down to the championship, Cars Tour's getting down to it. They got 3 or 4 more races left. Connor Hall has a 12-point lead over Landon Lewis. So Landon cut in just a little bit with that victory, but Connor continuing to be consistent over the course of the season, has that 12-point lead in late model stocks. Top 4 really separated by 33 as they go down to the wire here in their season. On the pro late model side of things, after Luke Baldwin's win, it's still Ben Mayer, 12-point lead over Keelan Harvick, who's got a lot of momentum as well in the back half of the season in the pro late model ranks. Some other winners over the weekend, I mentioned Keelan Harvick. Well, he went out west to Colorado National over the weekend as well after running the pro late model, and he got a Cars Tour West win out there as well. So the Keelan versus Dad battle hasn't been much of a battle. It's been all Keelan at this point, taking it to his dad, Kevin Harvick. So congratulations to Keelan on another win. Austin Hull, we mentioned it last week as we recorded last week, the big 250 at Berlin for the Battle at Berlin. The local and track points leader, Austin Hull, got his first win in that crown jewel event, $40,000 richer as he passed Blake Rowe with 9 laps to go. Some trouble for our Cup regulars. Carson Hocevar had some issues. He finished multiple laps down, and so did Eric Jones after a mechanical bug put him out of the race 20 laps into the event. But Ty Majeski came home with a top 5 finish as well, as then he would go on to finish second at Richmond. Some news over the weekend before we get to the calendar. How about the Smart Modified Tour? A little schedule adjustment this week, looking ahead to their what they call the Mod Squad Nationals coming up. It's now going to be at Franklin County Speedway on September the 20th. This event was scheduled to be at Lonesome Pine Speedway or Lonesome Pine Motorsports Park, but unfortunately that track was just put up for sale. Its sale is supposed to be completed coming up at the end of the month. So without that racetrack, Smart Modified Tour officials opted to go back to Franklin County Speedway for the first round of the Smart 3 playoff. Of course, that settles their champion at the end of the season. So good to be back at Franklin County, but unfortunately, the track Lonesome Pine is going to be sold coming up in September. So a little schedule change there on the Smart Modified Tour. Coming up this weekend, I mentioned when we did a little recap of the ARCA Menard Series, the Badger 200 on Friday night at Madison International Speedway back in Oregon, Wisconsin for the first time since 2019. So a lot of these racers don't have a lot of experience unless maybe you ran a super late model there in the past. Tristan McKee, we just talked to him. He'll be joining the field on the high banked half mile, trying to stay batting 1,000 in the ARCA Menard Series. He's so far 1 for 1. We'll see if he can back it up. Julian DaCosta making his first ARCA Menard Series appearance with Nitro Motorsports. They've had a good run with first-time winners this year. Of course, Thomas Annunziata got one done. Sean Corr got close as well on the road course. We'll see what they have with Julian DaCosta coming up this weekend. Trayton Lapsevich, of course, was a former winner for them as well. Brent Cruz. So Nitro Motorsports opting to go into another first-time racer this weekend. Max Reeves is back in the field as well. Of course, he can't run the full season, but the ARCA Menard Series East full-timer is looking to go back to Victory Lane coming up this weekend. Again, Friday night for the ARCA Menard Series. Other weekend events, mentioned some crown jewels. Well, the big one coming up this weekend is the 52nd Oxford 250 at Oxford Plains again on Sunday. DJ Shaw, the heavy favorite after winning the qualifier, the final qualifier last week in their regular season points events. That gets him locked in. But of course, there's tons of others that are going to be involved in this one. Who's anyone in super late model racing going to be out there this weekend. Of course, the festivities begin on Friday, the Sunoco 150 for the super late models, and the Yvonne Bedard 109 for the Milton Cat American Canadian Tour as well, as they go for some big money, all a part of the lead up to Sunday and the Oxford 250. So congratulations, early congratulations to whoever wins, but we'll figure those out over the weekend, and best of luck to all of our super late model drivers going out to that way at Oxford Plains. Of course, tonight or this weekend is championship night at Bowman Gray Stadium. It's a tight battle in 3 of the 4 divisions at Bowman Gray Stadium. Brandon Ward has a 54-point lead over Burt Myers in the modifieds as they go for 150 laps at Bowman Gray to wrap up championship weekend. We'll see if Brandon Ward can hold on. Obviously, Burt Myers, a stalwart as far as championships there at Bowman Gray, is going to try to dethrone him, but Brandon Ward looking to go for his second title in I think the last 3 years at Bowman Gray. But it is tighter in sportsmen as well as street stocks. Both of those championships down in the single digits when it comes to championship night. So we'll have a full recap for you next week, talk to potentially our modified champion in the next couple of weeks. But again, championship night at Bowman Gray as they wrap up their 76th season of NASCAR racing coming up on Saturday. Also, as we record this show, the ASA Stars National Tour for the super late models are out at Oswego in Michigan for the Michigan 300. Carson Hocevar, Noah Gregson, as well as Eric Jones are the Cup regulars entered here tonight. Cole Butcher, of course, the points leader for the ASA Stars National Tour, and soon to be making his Truck Series debut at Bristol next month. They're all in the field, so that's happening as we record this on Wednesday. So we'll have a full recap for you next week. Some other weekly racing on your calendar this weekend. Stafford's going on Friday with their weekly racing. Berlin, South Boston, Hickory, Langley also with NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts weekly series competition. Next week, we're going to take a look at the standings for the national championship as we start to get toward the end of summer and really ramp up in the fall in the championship season. So we'll take a look at that. But all those weekly tracks with drivers contending for weekly championships all in action this weekend. The Motor Racing Network will be on the air for your NASCAR National Series coverage on the world's most famous beach, Daytona International Speedway, beginning on Friday night with practice and qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series. Actually, it's just pole qualifying for the Cup Series as they hit the cutoff race for the regular season under the lights at Daytona. So Friday qualifying will be at 5 p.m. Eastern time, followed by a little double dip, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the Wawa 250 powered by Coca-Cola. Their penultimate, or actually they've got three more regular season races, that is, but we're going to start to figure out the playoff picture for them as they race under the lights on Friday night. Again, MRN on the air at 7 p.m. So Cup Series pole qualifying at 5 and NASCAR Xfinity Series at 7 before Saturday night racing, the final regular season finale for the Cup Series. NASCAR Live Race Day gets you set for the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have the full crew down there ready to go, and we'll figure out who our 16 playoff drivers are for the NASCAR Cup Series on Saturday night. So looking forward to it, and really looking forward to the whole weekend of racing. We've got a lot of good short track racing mixed in there as well. So we'd like to thank Tristan McKee for joining us this week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. For our producer, Pat Jaggers, my name is Chris Wilner. Thank you for tuning in to NASCAR Coast to Coast. We'll talk about it all next week. Enjoy your weekend of short track racing.